Hello friends, welcome back to another session of Web Technology. In today's class, we're going to see what are the differences between servlet and JSP. In a web application, the client requests for a web page from the server, and the server responds back with the required page. These pages can be either static or dynamic. The content of the static page is already created, so the server need not create the pages. It will take the static pages and give as response to the client. But sometimes the content need to be dynamically created by the server. So the content of the dynamic page is created at the runtime. And JSP and servlets are two methods in Java to create dynamic web pages. JSP is translated and compiled into a servlet by the web component. And the servlet is a Java program that is managed by the web component. So let us get into the differences between these two. Now coming to the first difference, servlet is a Java program that is already compiled and used to create dynamic web content. As I said, like what is meant by dynamic web content. So which is dynamically created by the server at the runtime. JSP is a web page scripting language that can generate dynamic web content. Now JSP is slower compared to the servlet. Servlet is faster than JSP. What is the reason why JSP is slower? JSP is slower because in the life cycle of JSP, first JSP file is converted into a servlet. So that's the reason JSP is slower compared to a servlet. Now coming to the third difference, in servlet, if we make any modifications to the code, we need to do three things. The first is we need to recompile the Java code. Then we need to load it into the folder, into the Tomcat web apps folder, and then we need to restart the server. So for all this, it is time consuming. So for all this to happen, it will take more time. Now coming to the JSP, if we do any modifications, then just we need to click on the refresh button. So and recompilation, reloading, and restarting the server is not required. Next is servlet is a fully functioning Java code. It is a Java code, and JSP is a tag-based approach. So it consists of Java, HTML, XML, and HTML codes in it. Next difference is in servlet there is no such method for running JavaScript at the client side. Servlet is a server-side coding, and JavaScript is at the client side. You can have some methods in the servlet that will enable JavaScript to run at the client side, but there is no such method. In JSP, we can use the client-side validations using running the JavaScript at the client side. To run a servlet, you have to make an entry of servlet mapping into the deployment descriptor file, that is nothing but web.xml file externally. For running in JSP, there is no need to make an entry of servlet mapping into the web.xml file externally. Next difference is coding of servlet is harder than JSP. As I said, it is Java based. And coding of JSP is easier than servlet because it is tag based. In MVC architecture, servlet plays the role of the controller. In the MVC pattern, JSP is used for showing output data, so which is used for as a view. Okay. And next is servlet accept all protocol requests, including HTTP. JSP will accept only HTTP protocol requests. In servlet, we can override the service method, but in JSP, we cannot override the service method. In servlet, the default session management is not enabled. We need to enable it explicitly. In JSP, session management is automatically enabled. In servlet, we do not have implicit objects. If you want the object, you need to create them explicitly in the servlet. Say, for example, you want a print writer object. So you don't have the implicit object. You need to create one by saying print writer and then give a name to the object. So say for example, it is out. So I'm giving out and then I'm saying res dot get writer. Okay. So by doing this, what will happen is I'll be getting an imprint type of object. Okay. So I need to create the object. I want to getting the implicit objects in servlet. In JSP, we have implicit object support. You can get the out object. So this out is an implicit object in JSP. You don't need to create it. And you also have exception, which is an object, implicit object created by the profile class. You also get request object from HTTP servlet request, and response object, you get it from HTTP servlet response, and so on. And you get config object from the servlet config. So those are all the implicit objects that you get in JSP. In servlet, we need to implement business logic plus the presentation logic combined. So that's why we are saying that the logic is complicated or is tough compared to the JSP. In JSP, we can separate the business logic from the presentation logic using Java Bean technology. There is no custom tag writing facility in servlets. In JSP, you can easily build custom tags that can directly call Java Beans. The next difference is in servlet, all packages must be imported on the top of the servlet. So the import section is on top. In JSP, package imported anywhere. You can do this import anywhere in the JSP, in the top, middle, or the bottom. Servlet should be used when more data processing is involved, and JSP should be used when there is no involvement of much data processing. For example, you can use servlets, which can be used to process submitted forms, and you can use JSP to display report details. So these are all few differences between servlets and JSP. I hope this video is helpful to you. Thank you for watching.